Hey there, Carnage Cravers! Welcome back to Carnage Corner. I am Ken Carnage, and we are going to dive into the week after WrestleMania, starting with Monday Night Raw. Now, the Raw after Mania is always crazy. So, it's just, we're talking insane crazy. So they opened up with Stephanie McMahon. She comes out. She's got her arm in a gimmick, I don't know what the hell kind of gimmick it was supposed to be. It wasn't a sling. It wasn't a cast. Some sort of brace, maybe. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that damn thing before. But she comes out and, tries to take credit for how good Ronda did, saying, I brought out the best in her, yada, 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 yada. And she brings out her friend, Ronda Rousey. And Ronda proceeds to put Stephanie in the armbar again. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Steph for a little while. And I like I said, I am really curious to see where they go with Ronda from here. Because, they're off to a good start. That match was better than I think anybody expected. They're off to a good start. As the saying goes, it's their game to lose, They go to the first. They go backstage to Kurt Angle. Braun Strowman comes in with Nicholas, and they relinquish the Raw Tag Team titles because Nicholas has school. I kid you not. They did it because Nicholas has school. Braun said he's still in the 4th grade. But once he graduates, and then they had Nicholas scream, somebody's going to get these hands. And it was funny. It was hysterical. I still don't know whose kid Nicholas is. Like I said, there's rumors saying it's Shane McMahon's son. There's rumors saying it's Jeff Cohn's son. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's funny. It's a funny moment. Highlights the fact that Braun don't need anybody. And, and then on the feed I was watching, because obviously, I was watching after the fact. I can't watch these things live. So, of course, I had to catch it on the Hulu gimmick, which I'm going to take the moment right now to say, fuck you, Hulu. Because, we go right into the No Way Jose debut. But what I would find out later is that before that, there was an entire match in which Ember Moon made her debut and teamed with Nia Jax to take on Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. Moon got the win. She got the 1, 2, 3. She got the pinfall. Great debut for her. She'll be a good fit there on Monday Night Raw, I'm sure. And then, as I said, they brought out the No Way Jose character, which is, just think Adam Rose, but instead of British, he's Dominican. I think he's Dominican. I don't know. He looks like he is. Either way, you go from British guy to Spanish guy, practically the same freaking gimmick. So, No Way Jose is definitely talented in the ring. He's good. He's very good. I do think he needs a different gimmick, because gimmicks like his, they don't last. Not on the main roster. So, hopefully they can tweak him a little bit to make him a little more serious. Because gimmicks like his historically, they don't last. I think the longest reigning gimmick like his was the Godfather with the Ho Train, but that was, again, a little different. But, even then, it only lasts so long. It's a gimmick that has a shelf life, for sure. That being said, he squashed a jobber. And then we go into the Seth Rollins promo. Of course, Rollins, a brand new Intercontinental Champion. Grand Slam Rollins was the hashtag. So, and then of course Finn Balor comes out. You know, he wants a shot at the Intercontinental title. The Miz comes out, and he of course gets his rematch at Backlash. He made that perfectly clear at Backlash. And Jeff Hardy comes back because they were talking about doing a six-man doing a tag team match between the Miz, Taraj, Balor, and Rollins, and Jeff Hardy comes back, and so then it becomes a six-man tag team match for later in the evening. So, sorry, just view my notes for a moment. My handwriting is atrocious. Alright, so Mandy Rose, with Absolution in her corner, takes on Sasha Banks with Bayley in her corner. Of course, Bayley came out after the fact, and Sasha didn't really seem to want Bayley there. And during the course of the match, Bayley tries to take a cheap shot on Mandy when they're on the outside of the ring, and Mandy moves and Bayley plows Sasha. Yeah, and Sasha ends up losing the match to Mandy Rose, and I'm sure she will blame Bayley, and I'm sure that she will continue to feud with Bayley. But after this match, Paige gave her retirement address. She is retiring from the ring due to a neck injury. She can no longer wrestle. We kind of saw this coming. It's not a surprise. It sucks, especially for Paige, because she's very young, and and her career is, at least as an in-ring competitor, over. It's done. It's not happening anymore. Which sucks. But I'm sure she'll land on her feet. Or, you know what? I was gonna make a joke. I'm not gonna do that. Poor taste. I'm gonna take the high road. I don't take it often. I'm not really sure which way to go once I'm on it. I'm hoping there's signs. So that being said, we then get we come back from break, and Elias is in the ring, and he's doing his little ditty, and out comes Bobby Lashley. We'd heard rumors Bobby Lashley was coming. I think it's safe to say that with Bobby Lashley back, we now know why they didn't put the Universal title belt on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. They're going to have Brock Lesnar hold on to that belt until he surpasses CM Punk's record of 434 days, I think it was. Okay, he's going to surpass Punk's record for longest title reign in recent history, because nobody's ever going to beat Bruno Sammartino's freaking 8-year reign as champion. So, that being said, brain fog. Need some brain force. Alright, so, to make a long story short, Lashley, he squashed Elias. I really do believe they're going to keep the Universal title on Brock until he beats Punk's record. And then at SummerSlam, which coincidentally is in Chicago, I think that that Brock's going to drop that belt to Lashley. That's how I think that's going to go. And I think that would be great booking. I think Bobby Lashley's a much better choice for Universal Champion than Roman Reigns is. Because people are 100%, behind Lashley. I mean, the casual fan may not be, because a casual fan who, for instance, I do not watch things like TNA or IWGP or Ring of Honor, and part of that is because I don't have those channels, and I don't want to work. I'm not, I have a full-time job that feels like like it's 2 full-time jobs, anywhere between 60 and 80 hours a week every week. I don't have time to go hunting for a wrestling that's not readily available to me. I grew up with WWE and WCW and ECW coincidentally, but ECW and WCW are gone. I still have WWE. Yeah, there was a time years ago when I was checking out TNA back when they had, Kurt Angle and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and whatnot, and Christian, but I eventually lost interest in TNA right around the time they brought in Eric Bischoff, actually. I was just like, when they switched it to a square ring, I was like, okay, well, you took away one of the only things that was actually cool about this promotion, so, yeah. That being, I think the point I'm getting to here is, even though I don't follow, I do pay attention to what's going on. Like, I don't need to be watching Ring of Honor or New Japan to know that Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, is tearing shit up and is in, got a dynamite feud going with Kenny Omega. I don't need to be watching to know that Kenny Omega just had an amazing rivalry, an amazing match with Chris Jericho. So, like, I'm not watching it, but I'm paying attention to it. Now, because I'm not watching it, I don't report on it. I don't talk about it, but I'm paying attention to it. Part of the reason is because when they bring people in, I want to at least have some idea of who the person is. You know what I mean? So that being said, unless somebody is just strictly WWE, nothing else exists, then that person might be like, where the hell's he been? But for those of us who, have feelers out into the rest of the wrestling and combat sports world, we know Lashley's been tearing it up in TNA, Global Force, Impact, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That thing changes its name more times than I'm not going to make that joke. High Road Jones. That being said, and he's been tearing shit up in Bellator. So there is, it's safe to say that there are more people behind Lashley than behind Roman, or at least that is the way it seems. So this it's definitely a better choice to put the Universal Belt on Lashley, I would say. So that being said, he squashed Elias. Then we go to Kurt Angle and Kevin and Sammy come in, and they're begging for jobs. And TNA and Kurt Angle straight up looks at him and goes, I hear TNA is hiring. Savage. Absolutely savage. Loved it. Popped it. I laughed my ass off. And then, of course, we get Heath Slater and Rhino. And they're looking for a match. And out comes the Authors of Pain. Akam and Razor with Paul Ellering come out. And they squash, very impressive match against Rhino and Heath Slater. And then when they go to leave, they leave Paul Ellering behind. They stop him, and they walk away from him. And it'll be interesting to see them go forward without him. I don't know if it's a case of Paul Ellering doesn't want to do the type of schedule that they're going to have to do. That's possible. I mean, Paul's he's not a spring chicken by any stretch of the imagination. It's possible that they'll just keep Paul in NXT and let him work with somebody else. That's also possible. And it could be good. Paul can be there at NXT helping young talent get to the main event level like he did with AOP. I think that would be fantastic. And I saw some asinine statements online. People saying, "Well, how are they gonna talk? They don't know English." Fuck you. Yes, they do. Seriously, yes, they do. Akam is Canadian. Well, Canadian Indian. I mean, his family comes from India, but he's a Canadian. He was born in Canada. He knows English, damn it. Like, seriously. That's like assuming Jinder Mahal doesn't know English. or assuming Rusev doesn't know English, you know, the other guy's Albanian and from the Netherlands. Like, they know English. Y'all sound dumb. Stop it. All right, y'all sound dumb as fuck. It's just ignorant. All right. That being said, we then go to we then have Roman Reigns comes out, and he he kind of whines and cries and swears that he will leave the greatest Royal Rumble as the champion. I don't think so, Roman. I just don't think so. Point in case, though, Samoa Joe returns. He comes out and he just blasts Roman with the facts, you know, and challenges him to a match at Backlash. So I'm looking forward to seeing Roman get choked out by Samoa Joe. I'm looking forward to seeing Samoa Joe versus Bobby Lashley after Bobby Lashley wins the Universal title. I'm really looking forward to that. I think Lashley will probably hold that belt for a while. He's not going to lose it quickly. So, but I look forward to everything that Samoa Joe does. Samoa Joe is fantastic. You know, again, he reminds me of... There are things about him that remind me of one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, which would be Taz. You know, the suplexes and the submissions, and it's good stuff. That's the style of wrestling that I've always preferred. Don't get me wrong, I love a good brawl, but it's the technical joint manipulation, suplexes, throws, takedowns. You know, the idea of taking somebody's body and literally using it against them. You know, and maybe that's from my own fascination with martial arts growing up and everything else, and just loving, you know, the different forms of martial arts, whether it be Jeet Kune Do or Judo or even going into Krav Maga or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's all fascinating. The different styles are different, and they've got their good points and they've got their low points. Yes, even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu does have things about it that are not always applicable. Fuck it. Okay, so moving on from there. Point is, I really do like Samoa Joe, and I'm looking forward to everything that he does, including choking out Roman at Backlash. So, we then get Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. The winner earns himself a place on the Monday Night Raw roster. Well, they don't win. Nobody wins. Double count out. Double count out Jones. So nobody gets the job. Bye-bye, boys. Bye-bye. Shoo. TNA is hiring. Go where I don't need to see you. Sorry, I don't like those guys. That being said, we then get Jeff headed to the ring with Finn and Seth, and he runs into Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, and they have a strange exchange, which kind of made it look like Matt was like playing along, that Jeff was playing along with the woken or broken thing. But he wasn't actually like that. Almost like he's catering to his brother's mental illness, which I found funny. I found it very funny because, I mean, you know, it's like, look at it like sleepwalking. You're not supposed to wake a sleepwalker, right? So that's what Jeff's doing. He's just playing along and then walking away. So, that being said, we then get Finn and Seth and Jeff versus Miz and the Miz Taraj. Good six-man tag match. Miz is a much better worker than he ever gets credit for. He's good, he's solid in the ring. He's great on the microphone. One of my favorites to watch. He's always entertaining, and you know, it's funny. You get a lot of people who give him flack, and I think those people haven't been watching. honestly, because they're like, oh, real world. Bro. Like 15 years ago, man. Like, what were you doing 15 years ago? Probably something you're probably not something you want to talk about, right? So it's like, people frustrate me. It just, people frustrate me to no end, because it's like they don't think before they say things. But anyways, that's not what this show is about. This show is about wrestling, and this match was fantastic. You got the finish there, Seth Rollins pinning the Miz, as it should be. I'm actually surprised that Miz isn't taking time off to go spend time with his wife and his newly born daughter. I am surprised by that. Maybe they lightened his schedule some. Maybe he won't be doing any house shows. That's possible. Maybe he'll just be doing TV. I don't know. I don't know how they changed his whole schedule, if they changed it at all. I have no clue. But I hope he gets the time to spend, because those first few months are, they're trying and they're tiring. Don't get me wrong, but they're magical, especially with your first, because it's all brand new. So, that being said, that was how they closed out Monday Night Raw. Going into SmackDown, they opened SmackDown with Shane McMahon announcing that Daniel Bryan had resigned from the general manager position to become a full-time competitor. And they announced a new SmackDown general manager, and it is Paige. And of course, call me an asshole if you want to, but my first thought was, so New Day's going to get preferential treatment now because of Xavier Woods. I know, I'm horrible. Coincidentally enough, I will get to that in a minute. Paige, she gives a thank you speech. She sets up our main event being AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. And the fact that they gave us this and they emphasized that the shakeup was coming, I think one of these guys, probably Daniel Bryan, is going to go to Raw. Because I don't think they're going to send AJ Styles to Raw. He's the WWE champion, in case you didn't know. Okay, so, that being said, we then go into the first match of the night, Usos versus the New Day for the #1 contendership. Wait a second. Usos lost the titles. They were the champions. They get their obligatory rematch. Right? No. Paige decided that they weren't going to get that they were going to have to beat the New Day again to earn it, giving New Day a shot at possibly getting a shot at the championships. God, this kind of sounds like favoritism. I'm not going to touch it. Although Corey Graves almost touched it when he was talking on the commentary, but he danced his way around it. Somehow I think we're going to see a lot more biased from this new general manager should Xavier Woods remain on SmackDown. So, that being said, Usos versus New Day for the #1 contendership, and the Usos win. So good for the Usos. They are going to face the Bludgeon Brothers for the Tag Team Championships at Backlash. And, afterwards, the Bludgeon Brothers come out and they have themselves a little stare down. And of course, they've got the blue belts, which the blue belts look kind of funny on their red and black outfits, but hey, whatever. Red, black, and blue, the color of a very bad bruise. They then go to an interview segment from earlier in the day where Naomi was being interviewed and Natalya came in and, she was Natalya. So Naomi challenges her to a match. We come back to real time and we're getting Naomi versus Natalya. And of course, Naomi, obviously, like normal, looks like she got lost on her way to a rave. And Natalya just needs to go home to her cats. Just seriously, go home to your cats. Right meow. So, That being said, we got the Natalya versus Naomi match. A good match. These two know each other really well. They've worked together a ton. It's not a surprise that they're able to put on a good match. Not even by a long shot. I mean, I know I'm picking on them because I don't like Naomi's gimmick. That doesn't mean I don't like her. I don't dig the gimmick, and I definitely don't dig Natalya's gimmick. And her, oh, I used to like Natalya. Till my wife got me to watch Total Divas, and I realized that Natalya's a blithering idiot. I don't know. I don't know any other way to put that. Like, seriously. You make... No, I'm not. High Road Jones. All right, so, moving on. All right, so... Naomi wins the match. We then get an interview with Shinsuke Nakamura. They're asking Shinsuke why he low-blowed AJ at WrestleMania. And he says, I'm very sorry. I don't know what came over me. Blah, blah, blah. He's saying, he says, I don't know why. I just automatically go into trying to sound like him, which I cannot do, and it sounds like I'm making fun of him, which is not my intent whatsoever. Anyway, so, he gives a very disingenuous apology, and Renee calls him on the apology saying it's disingenuous, and she asks him again why, and Shinsuke looks at her and says, sorry, no speak English, and walks away, which popped me, because that's the thing everybody gets picking on him about. They're like, oh, he doesn't speak English. Funny story, heel Nakamura seems to speak better English than face Nakamura. But, so I think heel Nakamura is going to be dynamite. I really do. He's going to be freaking dynamite. And I can't wait to see it. So, that being said, from there, we go into a promo with Carmella, right? No, Charlotte, excuse me. Promo with Charlotte, talking about how great she is, and effectively giving a who's next promo, just, not like Goldberg would, more like the way her father would, basically. And the iconic duo make their debut on SmackDown. They make fun of her, and they beat her down. I mean, they just brutalized Charlotte. And then when they go to leave, they hit Carmella's music. And Carmella comes out, and Carmella cashes in, and we have a new women's champion on SmackDown. I still say it would have been more... I still say it would have been better had they done it at WrestleMania, but the way they did it was still good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the way they did it. It was a nice setup and everything else. I just feel like it would have been a better shocker at WrestleMania. Carmella is the SmackDown Women's Champion, or as she said in her interview segment, Mella is money, which I'm not even going to pretend to understand that. Yeah, I don't know if that's a Jersey thing. I'm not from there, so I don't get it. I'm gonna move on. So moving on from there, we go to break. We come back. Jinder Mahal is back. Jinder Mahal is ringside in a throne. Yeah, he's not high on himself. But that's exactly why I knew they were going to put the U.S. title on him. Because you got a foreign, cocky-ass heel who hates America and hates... Jinder don't hate anybody, but it's the character. The actual man is actually like a really nice guy and, doesn't seem to have any issues with anybody. But the character of Jinder Mahal hates America, hates Americans, yada, 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 which makes him the perfect candidate to be a heel champion with the United States Championship. It just makes sense. It practically books itself. So, that being said, we then have he's ringside for the match between excuse me, for the match between Bobby Roode, Randy Orton, and Aiden English to decide who will be the number one contender for the United States Championship. Which, again, shouldn't Randy just automatically get a rematch? Obligatory rematch clause. It's right there. It's always been right there. But it doesn't matter anyways because Orton ends up winning. So Orton will be facing Jinder Mahal at Backlash. Now, what they're going to do at the Greatest Royal Rumble, I don't know. I'm going to be honest, I don't really expect many titles to change hands at the Greatest Royal Rumble. I just don't. I don't even know if they're showing that damn thing on the network. Hopefully they are. I'd like to watch it. But, but it's funny. People are, again, looking at people reacting online, they're saying to themselves, because the rumor is that there's going to be no women's matches on the card. And, they're like, why are there no women's matches on the card? Well, that's because women don't have rights in Saudi Arabia. And I'm just shocked to find out how many people don't realize that. Yeah, women have no rights in Saudi Arabia. Neither do gays or, for instance, blacks. Well, I can't say if I know that one for sure, because the people in Saudi Arabia, the actual skin tones vary depending on where they are, just like the rest of us. But case in point, they have laws on their books that openly, discriminate against homosexuality and women. So, and people are just now realizing this. It's like, where the hell have you been? Like, do you not pay attention to what goes on in the world? Like, again, I'm not going to get into politics. This is not a political show, but goddamn. Pay attention. What the hell? This shouldn't be a surprise to you. And now that you know what the place is all about, why don't you pay attention to who they give money to in our own political system? I should tell you who's not on your side. In either case, I'm going to move on. Again, not a political show. I don't want to turn it into one. So Randy Orton wins. Then we go to the interview with Carmella. This is where she said that Mella is money, which again I don't understand. And then we get an interview with AJ Styles before he goes out for his match, and AJ Styles, he's looking forward to the match and whatnot. Doesn't know what's going on with Shinsuke. We go into the match. We get AJ Styles versus Bilbo Baggins, or is that Frodo? I don't know. But AJ versus little Hobbit bastard there, having themselves a match. I gotta say, I mean, it was a physical match. A couple of times, I mean, I pick on Daniel, but I really don't want to see the guy, knock his noggin and involuntarily breakdance in the middle of the ring. That's not what I'm looking to see happen. No matter how much I dislike the guy, I'm not looking to see that happen to him. And a couple of times he's, getting the back of his head smacked on the mat, and I'm like, oh. No, I know what that feels like. It frickin' hurts. So, I was, especially the one where, right before the end of the match, where all of AJ's body weight seemed to fall on Daniel's head from the top turnbuckle and, smack his head on the mat. That looked like it frickin' hurt. But neither here nor there. We did not get a decisive finish to this match because of Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, technically, Daniel Bryan won by disqualification because Daniel was the first one Shinsuke hit when he came in. And then he attacked AJ. He blowed AJ like 3 freaking times, very violently. And that of course was the way we went off the air for SmackDown. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to where they go with this Shinsuke heel thing. So far he's a great heel. I'm looking forward to seeing more. And you know what? Not for nothing. Despite the fact that a Shinsuke promo is a lot of fun, I think it would be a great heel move if every time they stick a microphone in his face, he just speaks Japanese. You know, it's also like a big fuck you to those asshole fans that are like, oh, he can't speak English. Okay, fine. You want to pick up my English? I'll speak Japanese. You want to know what I'm saying? Learn Japanese. I got no problem with that, especially with him being a heel. You know, why the fuck not? So, that being said, that was the way they closed out SmackDown. Going to 205 Live, we opened up with Kalisto versus Tozawa. Great match. Love watching Tozawa work. Love watching Kalisto work. I mean, I like Kalisto not as much as I liked, say, Rey Mysterio or Eddie Guerrero, but Kalisto is fantastic. He's really good. I love Tozawa. It's nice to see Tozawa getting a little bit more of a serious type character. And I'm really loving that. Kalisto won the match, but it was a great, great match back and forth. 205 Live's quality has been improving. We then we get Mark Andrews and Tony Nese in the locker room. Tony Nese telling Mark Andrews to kick Gulick's ass. And, and that's because, of what Gulick did to Nese during the Cruiserweight tournament. We then go into Drew Gulick versus Mark Andrews. Again, great, great match. Gulick wrestles more the style that I'm a fan of. Again, that mat-based grappler, submission-based style. That's my favorite type of wrestling. And, but with a little bit of, brawling mixed in. So, and it was a great match. Really good match. I like Gulick. Excuse me. Gulick got the win off of his Dragon Sleeper. Very nice. Good looking hold. He then went and locked, after he had relinquished it, he locked it back in and was doing more damage to Mark Andrews, causing Tony Nese to hit the ring to save Andrews. So we've effectively got a face turn from Tony Nese. And I expect to see Nese and Gulick feud from here. So we then go backstage to Drake Maverick, who's with Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher, and allowed them to work as a tag team. Wanted to make sure that there was going to be no grudge between Kendrick and Hideo Itami, which they said there won't be. I don't buy it, but Maverick comes out. He introduces the new Cruiserweight champion, Cedric Alexander. Cedric, he's giving a promo. He's talking about how much it means to him, and typical babyface stuff. Good, all good. And then out comes Mustafa Ali, and Mustafa came out in all black, and a lot of people may be wondering, we're going to see a heel turn from Mustafa, but of course we did not. He told Cedric that he earned it, and gave him his props, and and that was all good. But then Buddy Murphy's music hits, so they all turn. Murphy attacks Cedric from behind and hits him with his finish, and he gets out of there. Drake Maverick is pissed. He's screaming at Buddy Murphy. Murphy don't give a damn. He wants that title, and he's gonna take it off Cedric Alexander. And again, this goes back to a preference. Again, Cedric Alexander is really impressive competitor. He just doesn't happen to wrestle the style that I prefer. I mean, he's got a real, high flying type style. That was just never my favorite thing. I can appreciate it, sure, and I obviously can appreciate the fact that he's good at it. But again, Buddy Murphy is more the style of competitor that I am drawn to. Mat-based striking. Although Murphy can get up there a little bit, but he's a bigger guy. He might be the biggest guy on the 205 roster. I question whether or not he's actually 205 pounds. But I'm looking forward to them having some great matches. It should be good. It will be it'll be fantastic. And if Cedric should retain, good for Cedric. At this point, it doesn't matter either way, because the 205 Live is really putting on great matches. Hopefully, they start picking up some steam. Going into NXT, NXT did not have a lot of action this week. It had a lot of interview segments, but they did open with some action. Kairi Sane versus Lacey Evans. Great match. Love watching Lacey Evans work. Love watching Kairi Sane work. Ultimately, Kairi Sane did win the match. But again, a great match to watch. Fantastic. Both these ladies are great. I'm sure eventually they're both going to end up on the main roster. They may or may not get runs with the NXT Women's Championship beforehand. I don't know. But they are fantastic. I think Kairi Sane should move on to feud with Shayna Baszler. I think that's dynamite. I think that's money. So then we go and we get an interview with the Undisputed Era. But that interview wasn't from that day. It was from the night of TakeOver. And of course they talked about what had transpired, of course, with Roderick Strong joining the Undisputed Era. They then go to an interview with Authors of Pain, which happened Monday night after they had been done in the ring, and they left Paul behind. And Paul... And sorry about that. And Paul, he comes in and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And and they tell him, it's like, your chapter's done. We're going on without you. And then they do another interview from Monday night with Ember Moon and Nia Jax. And Ember talks about how happy she is to go to Raw and whatnot. And then we go to our main event match, which is Heavy Machinery, Tucker Knight and I forget Dozovich's first name, but either way, Heavy Machinery, who I like, they're great, they're fun to watch, versus Moss and Sabatelli. I should be able to say his name, but I struggle with it. Whatever. So either way, the tag team match going good. One of the better matches out of Moss and Sabatelli. But again, Heavy Machinery is fantastic. And of course the match gets thrown out because the War Raiders attack. I do believe that they were actually called War Machine on the independent circuit. I'm not familiar with their work, but I had heard their name in passing. Big boys. And they came in and they laid out those four, and I guess we're going to see what kind of effect they have on the tag team picture there in NXT. So as you can see, my light is fading. I need to get this finished up, but that is this week in WWE. And all in all, one of the better weeks they've had, especially if you include the weekend's events. This has been a hell of a week for pro wrestling. So that being said, I want you all to remember just one thing. Carnage is right around the corner.